Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Wednesday the 28th of February 2024. Today's video is going to be a brief look at some of this week's earnings movers, and then I'm going to finish off with a quick sample of what I've been working on for the stage analysis website. So starting off, we've got OKTA, OKTA, which started to move back out into stage 2 recently, and today with its earnings moves in the after hours, it's pushing up into the 107, 108 area here, so starting to clear some of that older resistance now as well. So it's been chopping around in a big stage 1 base structure for the best part of the last year now, so finally starting to make a continuation breakout and clear some of that overhead resistance. You can see the mantle of relative strength has been chopping around the zero line over the course of the last year, so it's been getting right in position, setting up for a potential attempt. Started to move out into stage 2 at the end of December there, but didn't make a huge amount of progress. Came back into the broader structure a little bit, but didn't get back underneath this 30-week moving average, so investor stop loss would have held at that point. So still in early stage 2 here, and now starting to push out. If we look at it on the daily chart, you can see it's been very choppy, little inverse head and shoulders type look to it in the near term. But going back to the weekly here, actually we broadened this out. This used to be a bit of a favoured stock when it first IPO'd. It had a huge run from its IPO back in 2017. I remember trading it many times throughout the years. It had a good 4-year run of almost 1,000% type move before rolling over at the end of 2020. So some of the younger traders that only joined the market in 2020 might not be so aware of OKTA. It was a big performer, so it shows there's a lot of potential when it does want to move. So the fact that it's started to push out into this kind of area again now, potentially moving back to stage 1 type area on a monthly chart as well, but the weekly now convincingly back in stage 2. So we'll see how this settles out in the coming days now. Another one moving is Duolingo, so DUOL. So this has been a particularly difficult stage 2 advance. It's had multiple pullbacks into stage 3 along the way. Not all stocks have nice stage 2 moves that stay above their 10-week moving average for the majority of the move. Some of them, their character, they can pull all the way back into the 30-week moving average multiple times, and Duolingo has been one of those, so would have shaken out many along the way through this move. It's started to move up into stage 2, rolled over into stage 3, and then made another continuation, rolled over, and now potentially could be on the cusp of making a new continuation attempt here. So testing up towards its all-time highs, pushed out from the IPO advanced phase turbulent zone once more, so into the institutional advanced phase here in the stage 2 advance, but getting later into stage 2, but with lots of consolidations along the way. This could keep grinding its way higher, so the relative strength line is going to have pushed up significantly tomorrow as well. If we look at the daily on this, it's had a little bit of a double bottom before moving out today, but obviously earnings being the most important thing. You can see the little structures that formed through the stage 3 range. We had a local buying climax, an automatic reaction, secondary test, and a shakeout area and a test before starting to move back up again, have a little minor sign of strength, made a last point of support, and then pushed out with a major sign of strength as the stage 2 continuation on the last earnings move, which came on a lot of volume. So potentially look to see how the volume reacts in this tomorrow, whether it can push through to new highs. Going to need to consolidate somewhat after such a big move. Again, if we go back to the weekly, you can see the initial stage 1 base on this was again had those classic Wyckoff characteristics. You had a selling climax, an automatic rally, a secondary test, an up thrust, then a spring type action through here before the sign of strength started the jump across the creek as such into early stage 2, and then the back up. So you draw from your selling climax to your automatic rally, starts your base structure. That's your broad structure, and then you can see the price action was contained within the majority of that throughout the course of 2022 to early 2023. So again, classic. Mixing Wyckoff with stage analysis is one of the best ways, in my opinion, as the Wyckoff structures are very, very important for when you're defining the stage 1 and the stage 3 structures. You can see again during stage 3 here where the local buy-in climax will make reaction secondary chest. Again, you can draw a structure, you have a shakeout, up thrusts, last point of support, and then broke out once again. So again, reaccumulation, Wyckoff structure there in stage 3, making a stage 2 continuation. So will we do that again? Obviously unclear at the moment, but looking for this to consolidate now after such a big move here. Another one on the move is AI. So attempting to make a new move back into stage 2 again. So its original stage 2 breakout back in early 2023 through this area here was a bit of a double bottom one, so difficult one to get into as it was a vertical move at that point, but then started to build that base structure and came back in and then had that secondary run. So it's rolled over, been a laggard throughout the majority of 2023. You can see the relative strength has been drifting off. So with this new move, looks like it will cross back above the Mansfield zero line here and attempting to make a new stage 2 breakout attempt, but not yet clear of this pivot high from back in December at the moment. Drop back down to the daily chart, you can see that in a little bit more detail. So a little bit of a complex selling climax here as it moved below the 200-day moving average, started to rally back up, started to make those little bit of a local spring in the test, and now starting to follow through. So phase D of this potential base structure and starting to push out in the after hours. So we need to see whether this can follow through tomorrow or not. Number one on the move was broke out yesterday, which is RVLV in the after hours. So stage 2 breakout attempt this week now. So you can see a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders pattern over the course of the last 8 or 9 months here. Go to the daily chart, you can see that. Yep, so about 9 months inverse head and shoulders pattern on this, starting to push its way out of this declining trend line. Also horizontal moves through here as well, so breaking multiple levels of resistance coming out of the stage 1 structure. You can see the declining 200-day moving average here now starting to curl its way back up, the 50 days above and the 21 days above that, and we've got some strong relative volume coming into this. So go back to the weekly chart, you can see the weekly volume is already up near the higher levels of the average weekly volume for this. So with being still fairly early in the week, only midweek, got a couple of days left, the volume should be one of the largest that it's had in the last few years with this stage 2 breakout attempt, which is one of the characteristics we look for on a stage 2 breakout attempt. One problem it's got is this overhead resistance range. So it went sideways through this area for a good year there. So that's going to be a zone of resistance. So if we stick a Ichimoku cloud on this quickly, you can get a rough idea of that without the rest of the gumph that goes with it. You can see it's still in the resistance zone here, so until it starts to get clear up into this kind of zone, it's going to have a little bit more of a struggle, but it is quite near to the top of the range at the moment, and it has got volume, so be looking for it to push and start to form a potential secondary base structure maybe at the top as it starts to push back out again. But if it rolls in this resistance zone, then comes back into the range, then that would be a major sign of weakness there. So at the moment, that one is a new stage 2 breakout attempt. CEG broke out the other day, so on the 27th, following earnings before the open. So this one's been in the watch list a few times recently. So following through today again by almost another 10%. You can see on the weekly chart on this one, it's just continued to push to new highs since it moved out. I think with the stage analysis technical attribute score on this has never been below a 4. So that was when it started to consolidate in these areas through here. So pushing back out again with a new stage 2 continuation breakout again recently, pushed back up to a SATA 10 recently and followed on again this week. Another one that's moving after earnings is 4. So this is actually a potential acquisition target low with today's move. So yesterday was the earnings reaction. We had a little bit of a shakeout move, undercut the bottom of this local structure, had a spring and then pushed up to new highs again, but today's follow through move seems to be on a acquisition news, so whether this is actually now a dead stock or not, whether it will continue on is unknown at the moment, as it's still an early just speculative move on that news at the moment. So but acquisition news often you start to, once the figures are known, they don't make much more progress at that point, so it tends to go off the radar at that point. ACMR, another one moving today, had earnings before the opens, has been in the watch list recently, so pushing up to new highs. You can see the stage 2 breakout back in June last year, went sideways for a long time. You can see the range through here, had a lot of up thrusts and shakeouts along the way, but starting to finally push out again to new highs. Looking on the weekly chart, you can see that it's been a choppy stage 2 advance again. As I said at the early part of the video, you don't always get a nice stage 2 run that just carries on running up above the 10-week moving average. So those that tell you to get out below the 50-day moving average and the 10-week moving average, you're going to get, with a lot of stocks, you're going to get shaken out. So you need to know the character of the stock, and you can see with this one, its character is to pull back to the 30-week moving average. So it is now pushing higher, but it is as extended from that 30-week moving average as we've seen it through this stage 2 advance so far. So probably going to need to consolidate some again. ADT is a new stage 2 breakout here, so you can see just coming out of the top of this structure. If we go to a weekly chart, it's a little bit of a choppy one. So you can see it had a shakeout move, big spike before rallying back up and starting to develop a range here. So difficult range to define there. You take it from just the broad area. So attempted to move out into stage 2 back in December there, and is now making a new continuation attempt. So go back to the daily on this. So this move actually through here is your stage 2 breakout. Did shake back below the 200-day moving average, but now making a new continuation attempt. So it's always useful. You should always, with stage analysis, look at the weekly chart as well as the daily chart, and then they can help you refine where those entry points and the stage transitions are. So another one moving is LFST. So this just making a new stage 2 breakout attempt, with a big double bottom pattern on this one. So looking on the weekly, so it looks like it IPO'd back in 2021. Let's push it out a little bit further, see what we get. Yeah, IPO'd back in 2021 here. So coming out of a IPO, its initial institutional due diligence phase down here, it formed a large stage 1 structure. So this broader structure, it's not yet clear of, you can see, but it has moved back into early stage 2 within that broader range. So if we zoom in a bit here, you can see the new stage 2 breakout, but it has got overhead resistance into the $10 area here, which is always a pivotal point with all of these lower price stocks. So if you look at it on the monthly, for example, we've got a bit of a double bottom going on, so it needs to clear the top of that range to be convincingly broken out there. So 9.59 at the moment, so you would say above the $10 level is potentially the key level of interest here. If we look at it again with a Ichimoku cloud on this one, so it's just starting to clear that old resistance from the initial stage 4 decline, as it's had a big sideways range for a while now. And then one more of these, we've got VIPS. So I think this is one of the Chinese stocks gapping up towards $20 now. So you can see it's been going sideways for a long time here. Had a few breakout attempts that failed, and then finally moved into stage 2 back in November in 2022, and then ground its way higher. Has been going sideways for a long time now. So new continuation breakout attempt in this one in stage 2 again, after being in stage 3 for a long while here. Okay, next up, I just wanted to, before I go, just wanted to show some of the progress on the site in terms of the new features that we're building into the site, with the stage analysis screener coming up where we're going to be using the SATA data, the Mansfield relative strength data, etc., in order to be able to screen through the individual stocks. And then we're going to have, there's going to be multiple list views for each major index, and you're going to have multiple countries as well. You can search through the stocks. So at the moment we've just got the NASDAQ 100, for example, ordered by the SATA score here. So you can go down, you can see what they are. So this is out of date now. It's only a couple of days old in terms of the scores and the data here. You can see the daily change. This is the weekly change actually. I'm going to have daily changes and stuff as well. There's going to be different options for these. You can see the order and what's the strongest. So again, this is a little bit out of date because some of these are broken at the moment. We don't have data for about 10 or 12 of the stocks have got bugs, and so Nvidia is not up here at the moment because that was one of the ones with the bugs that needs fixing. So that was one of the leading stock with CrowdStrike there and Meta, etc. And you can also see by the relative strength change, positive or minus. So it's going to be really, really useful in terms of just instantly from the list views. You can see how many stocks are in there. We're going to have loads of features on the site using the scores in lots of different ways, and going to be automating lots of this data, so you can see charts and various breadth measures from that. And then we're going to be using, you see in this, we've got the sector and group empty at the moment. That's should be being added in tomorrow by my developer, and what I'm going to be using is the GICS data. So as I think this is the best data for the sectors and the groups. A lot of people use the Yahoo Finance groups, and the stock charts groups are okay, but I've been using those for a while, but they're not great. So we've got the 163 sub-industries, we've got the 11 sectors. So in the actual sector and the group ones, I'm going to be using the 11 major sectors, so energy, materials, industrials, etc. And I'm going to be using the 163 sub-industries. And so from those, you'll be able to click through into the individual groups. So when you come onto the pages here, you'll be able to click through into the sector, you'll be able to click through into the group. Going to potentially do that on the page as well, so you can see how the stock is in the group. So lots of things I'm going to be adding to the stock page. This is the stock page. For example, at the moment, there is going to be more added to this. This is just the basic view at the moment. Once the sector and group info comes in, then that will change it immediately to be a little bit different. But at the moment, this is the basic view, which gives you the idea of these is that it's going to give a clear and consistent view of a stage analysis chart. So lots of people have their own settings and how they set things up. They ask me what moving average they should use and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have a way for you to, either when you're coming from the screener or when you're just going to the stock page directly, that you can come in, you can look at the weekly chart. I'm going to have a daily chart as well once I plug in the daily data for this as well. And then it's got the stage analysis technical attribute score at the bottom, it's got the Mansfield relative strength, it's got the breakout and breakdown highlighted on these, which help with the identifying the transition points. And then you can see where the stronger areas are with the score. When you're below 3, you tend to be more in a stage 4 type environment. When you're 7 and above, you tend to be more in a stage 2 environment. So for example, through this area here with crowd, it's been above a 7 since all the way back at this point here. So if I grab the crosshair on, you can see this week here, which was, so that was the week it went to a 7, and that was the 28th of August, so 2023. So it's been on a strong SATA score of a 7 since then. It did make an earlier stage 2 breakout on this one. This is the actual stage 2 breakout. You can see the breakout week is highlighted there, the little green dot. Mansfield relative strength was only just getting back to the 0 line there, but you can see the SATA score got up to a 7 and an 8 in those few weeks there before it started to consolidate in the backup range and go sideways back into the neutral areas. So a score of a 4 to a 6 in this area is when we're in a more neutral position. So doesn't necessarily mean you're in stage 1 or stage 3, but it just means that the stock is basing of some kind. It's either pulling back, it's basing, it's in a neutral phase. So again, I think a lot of the automated tools fail with attempting to do the stages, and that's one of the reasons why, as you get, obviously lots of stocks have different volatility characteristics, and they have different times where they're basing, they're still in stage 2. So this is a base in stage 2, but the score is what you would consider for a stage 1 or a stage 3 type stock at that point, but it's in stage 2. So this is why I think the SATA score is potentially a better way to do it, as it simplifies it into, we've got a score of 0 to 10, and we've also got 3 very clear areas. 3 and below, it's weak. 4 to a 6, it's neutral, and a 7 or above, it's strong. Simple as that, really. You've got 3 very clear areas. So, for example, the SATA score on this is a 7 at the moment. It was a couple of days ago, so it's in the strong zone. It is pulling back at the moment here, so you can see it's falling by 1 since last week at the moment. So, like I said, we're going to sector and group info here, but you can see the Mansfield relative strength is very strong. Anything over 0 is strong, 51 is huge. So at the moment, this is the top or the second stock in the NASDAQ 100. So very, very strong at the moment. You can see it's been in stage 2 for a while now. I have got the SATA background as well, but it's not working how I would like at the moment with the white bands between it. So something I'm going to tweak on that at the moment, but it does have that feature to turn it on and off. And so something else I was adding today is I've got rid of the top nav bar on these pages, and I'm potentially going to be getting rid of them across the whole site, and I've added this side nav bar over here. So when you move over it and hover, we're going to have the areas down here. So I've just put in some copy at the moment of what I'm intending to add. I'm going to have I've got the members dashboard area. We're going to have a getting started section for newer people. We're going to have the SATA screener, relative strength. I'm not sure if that's going to be separated from the screener or not. We're also going to have the areas for the stocks, for the indexes. We're going to have some resources. You'll be able to manage your account in here, and I've got more buttons. So I need to flesh out what that looks like. But basically, you hover over this area. You can click on this button to open and shut it as well, or you can hover in and out. So very simple, but keeps it out of the way, keeps the charts big and in view on the majority of the screen sizes. The majority of people have a rectangular screen size, so your average screen size is this kind of shape, and then you've got a bunch of other stuff above it. So we have to try and get the majority of the chart, or all of the chart, in on the majority of screen sizes. So a little hidden feature in this is that you can click on here and you can change it to a different stock. So just by pressing return, so if I say AMD, for example, we're in AMD. You can see it's on a SATA 8. It tells you the SATA score is 8 out of 10. It's in the strong range. It was unchanged since the prior week. You can see for the last 5 weeks it was a 9, and it's been an 8 for the last 4 weeks here. I have got more data further down here, and I'm going to be putting in different types of data down here. This is just for me at the moment, but there am going to be lots and lots of different types of data based on this to do with the group and how the stock is relative to the market, etc. So I'm going to give you everything that hopefully you will need in order to do stage analysis on the site. And then with this, it's not a charting platform, it's updated at the end of the day. So with these, you'll be able to then go off to your preferred charting platforms, whatever they are, TradingView, Stock Charts, MarketSmith, etc., and then do obviously different types of analysis from there and different types of looks. But this will give you a consistent way to look at the stocks. So you can see Apple is a SATA 2 at the moment. You can see it's been weak for a while. You can see it's sitting right on the borderline. So if it breaks down through here, that would move it into stage 4. But you can see it's attempting to rebound at the moment. The Mansfield relative strength score is weak, well below its 0 line here. So you can see it's not had a breakdown. You can see the little green dots would get a little, if it breaks down there, we would get a little red dot down there. But you can see the SATA score is very weak, but it has rebounded intra-week. It did drop down to a 0 and it's back up to a 2 here. So it doesn't show the 0 on here because this is a weekly view, but the Monday's one, it dropped down to a 0 briefly before flipping back to a 2 again. So But this, I've highlighted the amount of relative strength colours in red here if they drop below 0. So if we go on to back to Google, for example, here you can see the differences. So when it's below 0, it's a red, and when it's above, it's black. And you can see the colour coding for the SATA scores here. So all of these 0 to 3 will be a red, 4 to 6 ranges. We've got 4 is an orange, the 5 to 6 is blue, and then these are in the greens. So we've got that, as I said, weak range, neutral ranges, and then the strong range. So obviously neutral minus, neutral plus. So keeping it very simple through here on these, you'll be able to quickly look at a chart. AMD is an 8, its relative strength is strong. Google is a 3, its relative strength is weak. So really quick way to go against each other, compare stocks, and you'll be able to look them up in the index tables as well. So for example, if I want Apple here, I can look up Apple. So come back, I want AMD, there's AMD, it's a SATA 8, it's changed 0, it's on Mansfield 31. So we will have one for the whole market for that, and you'll be able to search through. So we'll see, excited to finally get this out to you. It's been a big project over the last year to get this done. So starting to get there finally. So I'm hoping to be able to make the first part of it public over the weekend, but it will depend on my developer tomorrow and whether he gets some of these final bugs out of the way. And if it does, then we'll have the NASDAQ 100 stocks on there for the weekend, and then if that all goes well, then I'll start to expand that to the S&P 1500 and then to the full NASDAQ and NYSE market. So just trying to do it in a stepped way as we're trying to fix all of the various bugs, as there was a bunch of bugs to do with older split adjustments and dividend events, because in order to get the SATA score, all of the data has to be fully adjusted. So it comes in unadjusted each day, and the historical data is unadjusted. So we have to adjust all of that data as it comes in, and it also needs to be automated and updated each day. So lots of complex stuff going on in the background. So hopefully the developer will get those final little bugs sorted tomorrow in order for me to get these pages live for you. So hopefully we'll get there. But okay, right. Hopefully that was useful, and I will see you on the next one.